You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hey bitches, welcome back to the pod. We are almost in July. That's fucking crazy, which means we are almost in the month of the From Imposter to Empowered program launch. I am so excited, y'all. This is a 16-week group program for coaches to overcome imposter syndrome and other limiting beliefs that are blocking clients and other abundance to you. I will take you through my 3-step process and coach you to completely shed your fraud feelings and step into your most empowered, highest self. It's going to be fucking magical, and for $111 off your enrollment, you can sign up for the waitlist at the link in my show notes. And for the coach who wants one-to-one accountability, eyes on her strategy and her business, and just wanting that intimate connection with a coach for 6 months, book a sales call for one-to-one coaching to sign 4-figure coaching clients and create consistent income. You can book your free sales call at the link in my show notes as well. So my loves, we have 5 Wednesdays in June, so welcome to your 5th episode. Lucky you. Today we are talking all about how imposter syndrome is affecting the way you break through objections in your business. So we have some strategy here on the pod. I love it. And I say breaking through because handling objections always sounds weird to me. We talk a lot about this in my coaching containers because the fact of the matter is, when you feel like a fraud, you are not going to want to answer to objections because you will believe the person about their objections. Why? Because you feel like a fraud. So let's get into it. We're not saying that the person on the other side of the screen, in your DMs or on Zoom, on the sales call, whatever, we're not saying that this person is lying to you when they have objections to your offer. Maybe they really do have a disapproving husband or an unsupportive husband. Maybe they really do need the money to remodel their kitchen. I've definitely gotten that one before. They aren't lying, but they are believing the thoughts of sacrifice they have when it comes to investing in your program. And when you feel like a fraud, you don't believe the work you're doing is valuable, or you don't know if the client is going to get the result. So any objection they have, you kind of slink away in fear because how dare you encourage them to invest when you don't even have solid belief in what you're selling, right? You can only break through objections on sales calls and in DMs that you feel confident about addressing. So very simply, I want you to write out a list of objections that you've personally had with coaching or that you've received from potential clients. And I want you to look at them one by one and imagine if you were the most empowered version of yourself, what would you really want to say that is for the client and that is the whole truth? That's the other thing. This has to be for the client. You breaking through objections has to be for the client, and the very fact that you're afraid to pull one over on them and not take their money is because you care, right? So let's get this out of the way. Of course you care. Of course you care. That's not even a question. And then I want you to come from the energy of, if I knew I could help this person, how would I want to respond to this objection? And I want you to think about the energy that they are in as well. On a sales call last year, my one-to-one client said she needed to sleep on it, and I thought I did something wrong. And my coach asked, what was her energy like? And I was like, interesting. I said she was calm, she felt good, she was saying it was everything she was needing, and that she usually sleeps on something and trusts her intuition. And she signed with me the next day. Energy is important. She didn't need me to ask her more questions or to pry, and I gauged that with my own energy. Another client said she had to think about it, but seemed fearful and afraid, so I asked more questions, and it turns out she just had more thoughts and objections that we were able to work through. Let's address the fact that you don't break through objections because you don't feel good enough. Can you linger in possibility here? Can you believe it's just possible that you will help them get results? And can you believe that they wouldn't be here asking to be sold to unless it was explicitly consensual on their part? When someone is showing up on a sales call, they are asking to be sold to. Do you believe that? Objections are just thoughts in someone's head, and as a coach, it is your job to help them see differently, to help them see how they can make their result a possibility, and that starts with the sales call or the conversation in the DMs, right? They want to be sold to. They want the solution you're providing. And it's courageous of you to sell to them despite not feeling good enough. I had a one-to-one client who used to totally sabotage her sales calls, and it was all because of her thoughts during calls, which used to be, they don't want this, they don't want my work, it's too much. So we shifted those thoughts to, they want to be sold to. They want my offer. My prices are a reflection of my expertise, and etc. Sales calls weren't easy by any means. They can be quite nerve-wracking, but she felt way more confident and started closing all of the calls she got on because she believed that they wanted to be there. Objections are just thoughts the client is having, but they wouldn't be on the call if they didn't want to be there. Lastly, it is so important for you to clean up your mind about objections clients will have so you're prepared. And that means it's important to work on your work feeling valuable and significant and worthy of the investment that you're charging, which I actually have a podcast episode a couple episodes ago in this month about feeling worthy of charging 4 figures for your coaching package, right? Because cleaning up your own mind, believing that your work is worthy, these 2 things will make breaking through objections so easy, because when you believe that your work is of high service and that you can help someone, and when you've already thought about your responses to common objections, you feel prepared rather than taken off guard, right? In my programs, we talk so much about objections that it's hard to fit just into this podcast, and it's so nuanced, but it really comes down to your own thoughts about someone's objections and your energy behind breaking through them. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to sit down and I want you to journal out all of the objections that you have either had yourself or had somebody else say to you for coaching. Like, it's too much, blah, 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 all of these things. Just dump them all out, okay? And then I want you to imagine that you are responding to these with your program in mind. If you were of the best energy, if you were talking to a soulmate client, if you felt like this is for them, I am so excited to serve them, I know I can help them, how would you respond to their question, right? The reason why you feel anxious and nervous about responding to objections is because you're afraid that they're right. You're afraid that they're thinking to themselves, this isn't worth it. You're afraid that they're thinking, I'm not going to get a result. At the end of the day, a client will buy because they trust you. A client will buy because they trust that they can get their problem solved. And that can feel like a lot of responsibility to the person who feels like a fraud. The person who feels like a fraud is going to be like, oh my God, I don't want them to give me their money because what if I scam them? What if I take their money and they don't get the result, right? So this is why the highest self work, the imposter syndrome work, is so fucking powerful, because when you believe your work is of high service, when you believe it is worthy of the amount that you're charging, and when you have thought of your energy and your responses to common objections that you will inevitably get, because it's not about you, right? It's always about the potential client. You feel comfortable responding to their thoughts because you believe in you and you believe in the value of your work. Again, in my programs, we talk so much about this. It's really hard to fit them all into a podcast, but it really comes down to your own thoughts about someone's objections and your energy behind breaking through them. So you can head to the show notes to sign up for the waitlist for the From Imposter to Empowered group program, or you can book a sales call with me to work with me for 6 months in one-to-one coaching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in July. Thanks for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to find out how you can take this work deeper with me in one-to-one coaching or in the From Imposter to Empowered group program. In the show notes, you'll also find a free 3-day challenge to start the process of overcoming your inner imposter. And once you're done with all of that, screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram, tagging me at your coach Jill so we can connect. See you next time.